Hello everyone, my name's Timothy Roberts and I'm here as part of the Dallas Symphony Orchestra's 2022 TMEA video recording project. We are going to play for you the All-State audition excerpts for saxophone this year. They're from the W. Fairling 48 Famous Studies etude book numbers 42, number 17, and number 16. And we'll play through each of the three etudes and offer you some commentary and some suggestions at the end that might help you prepare for a better audition. I'm going to leave my email contact information for you at the bottom of the screen. You're welcome to email with any questions afterwards. I am the saxophone professor at the Shenandoah Conservatory in Winchester, Virginia, and I would be happy to answer every email that's sent to me regarding this video. So, hope this helps you, and we will start with number 42. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this number 42. This is the most difficult one that you're going to play, and it also, I think, also happens to be the most difficult etude in this whole Fairling book. The main problem you're going to run into this with this etude, I think, is going to be fingerings, and the person that wins this audition with this etude is going to be the person really that plays it mistake-free. Not a whole lot of music in this particular etude. There's a few dynamic changes that you can make, but it's basically about cleanliness on this etude. So let's go through from the beginning and talk about, in particular, some fingerings that I think will help you. Again, the Southern edition marks this at 96 to the dotted half note. TMEA wants 72 to 88, so I would recommend that you play this at 88. While you're practicing this etude, it's kind of divided into four sections, and I would split it into four sections and maybe focus on one section at a time. I'm calling the first section from the beginning of the piece to the second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th bar of the second line. That ends your first phrase, your first section. Your second section is going to start right there on that A flat quarter note, and it's going to go to the fourth line, the second bar from the end of the fourth line. All right, you've got 2 quarter rests there also. Your third section starts right there and goes to the beginning of the next to last line on the high B flat, and again 2 quarter notes. And then your fourth section continues from there to the end. So split this into 4 sections. Let's talk about some fingerings that will help you. Fourth bar, the G flat. Use the 4th key, okay? Do the same thing in the 7th bar, the 4th key, and also in the 8th bar. All those G flats, just like this. All right. It helped me in the second line to mark the accidental D flat on the very first beat. It also helped me to mark the E flat, courtesy accidental, the first note of the second bar of the second line. At the end of what we're calling section 1, which is the second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th bar of the second line, ending section 1. Think of your fingers kind of as opening up to get that arpeggio out, all right? That probably is going to be a problem spot for keeping that clean. Up until that bar, you've pretty much been traveling in diatonic motion, scalar diatonic, D flat major patterns, and all of a sudden he gives you an arpeggio there. So just kind of think opening your fingers, bum 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 bing ba dum, on the A flat C, E flat, A flat C, to get your mind ready to play that thing cleanly. Moving on to what we're calling the second section. So this is the last two bars of the second line. I would do, so I went back and forth on fingerings for this bar, but I would use the fork G flat for the first note and the regular G flat, all right, like this, like an F sharp fingering, on the fourth note, all right? And the reason I'm switching from the fork to the F sharp is because the next line, it repeats the same thing. So the last note of this line is an F natural, and it goes back to the G flat at the beginning of the third line. So that's why I'm switching back and forth between fork G flat and regular G flat. That might help you on that. Third line, second bar, I'm using the regular G flat, regular fingering, okay? Because you're going from an E flat and going to an F, all right? Third line, fourth bar, fork key, all right? And then for the rest of that line, I'm using the fork key for the G flat. Fourth line, second bar, downbeat, the B flat, side B flat, okay? And that's also a great place to take a breath. Right after the B flat, so you have breathe. Great place to breathe. And you should be able to make it from the beginning of the second section to that eighth note, especially at a tempo of 88. I marked some courtesy accidentals in there on the third line, third bar of the fourth line. The G flat, the F natural at the beginning of the fourth bar, that helped me. That might help you also. Fourth line in the fifth bar, that third note is an A flat. While I was preparing this, that gave me a little bit of trouble. So I put a big circle around that A flat. Sometimes I'll take a highlighter and mark a note that's giving me particular trouble. That helped me putting a big emphasis on that third note of the fifth bar of the fourth line. Okay, that takes us into what we're calling the third section. That one's pretty straight ahead. I marked a few courtesy accidentals. The fifth line, fifth bar, the G flat. That was another trouble note for me. So I put a big circle around that. I wanted to keep playing a G natural. So I put a big circle around that to remind me to isolate that note and to think that note separately in my head. Okay, so the last section, which is the last two lines of the piece, it actually repeats the first two lines of the piece for the first 8 bars. So the 8 bar, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the sixth line of this etude is identical to the first line of the etude. So you shouldn't have to practice the sixth line as much. It's identical. So I won't repeat anything on that. The last line of the piece is of course treated kind of as a coda to end the piece. That's different than the second line. So some things we can do on the very last line. Third bar of the last line, use your fork key again on the G flat. Next bar, use your fork key. All 3 of those bars on the G flat, use your fork key. As I always like to do, the very last line of the piece, good, strong, robust vibrato to let the judges know that you're ending the piece. Okay? So, hope that helps in number 42. This is going to be your hardest one. It's pretty difficult. I think of the 3 etudes, you're going to probably spend 60% of your time practicing this one and 20% on the other 2. So, start this one first, okay? And we'll move on to the next 2 etudes now. Okay, we're going to try number 17 now. Okay, let's talk now a little bit about 17. Obviously, this one is going to be different than the other two. This is where you get to show off your beautiful tone and your ability to phrase and your ability to vibrate the notes really beautifully. So this is Adagio Cantabile. Southern music says 88 to the 8th note. TMEA says they want 72, tempo between 72 and 88. I would suggest 76. I think 88 is too fast for my personal taste. So I would suggest 70, 76. Most of the music that you're really going to be able to produce on this is going to be in the second line. A couple things that you can do on the first line. Third bar, put length on each of these 30-second notes. And the staccato notes underneath the slur are portamento, so you want to tongue those, articulate them, but keep them as long as you can. Last bar of the first line, use your side B flat to minimize your key noise. Second line, the F sharp half note with the trill. Your 8th note gets the beat in this, so this is 4 beats of trilling. You don't want to just play you just don't want to trill a note for 4 beats. That's going to get kind of boring sounding to your listener. So start the trill out slow, play a really intentional grace note, start the trill out slow, and speed it up as you go through the note. And when you get to the turn in the second bar, round out the rhythm as much as you can. Make the notes equal. Bum, ba, 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 bee, da, dum. And make it sound really natural. In the Southern edition, the crescendo is marked in the first bar of the second line. I think the crescendo should go over both the first and the second bar, leading to the fermata on the C in the third bar. So make that a longer crescendo. This cadenza that comes up, I would suggest that you group this first part of the cadenza from the high C fermata down to the low C fermata. Group it into 3 sections. Your first one, your second one, and your third one. And each one of the 3 sections are 2 notes leading into a downbeat. So 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1. So it's 2 ascending notes into your primary note that you're going to lengthen. One more time, let me play it. And I'll exaggerate it. And then put another length in the middle of your third idea on that B flat. Okay. Then coming out of that bottom C, the low C fermata, we're going to do the same kind of thing. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, with an acceleration going up the line. And your top D there on the fermata is the note that you're reaching for. That's your climax of the whole cadenza. So you hit the top D. This is now the last bar of the second line, and bring it down. Bring your climax back down to the faded. You're going to fade the F natural first bar of the third line. So again, the top D fermata. Take a breath. And you want to fade that out as soft as you can. So you've got a 2-bar phrase that's going to start out really forte. The forte continues all the way to the top D at the end of the line and then fades back down. All right? So we're on the 3rd line, 3rd bar, B flat. You're going to trill with your side B flat again. The next bar, you've got the portamentos again, the staccato notes underneath the slur, so you're going to articulate each one of them, but keep them long. All right. 4th line, 3rd bar, same thing, side B flat. 5th bar, when you have the trill on the E flat, keep the 1st and 3rd fingers of the right hand down. So you're only going to trill this middle finger. All right, after the grace note, you trill just the middle finger. Do the same thing on that trill that you did in the 1st bar of the 2nd line. You're going to start it out slow, and because it goes on for 4 beats, start it out slow, build the speed up on the trill. Go back to your primary note of the E flat and sit on it for a little bit of time before you do the grace notes. Let me demonstrate this to you. Okay, so again, 1st and 3rd finger down, trill only on the 2nd finger, slow to fast on the trill, resolve that trill on the E flat tonic there for a beat or so, and then go into your grace notes into the next, into the D. Last line, 2nd bar, same thing with the trill, slow to fast. So, and I would suggest fading that bar out, ending the phrase on the C, cut it, take a breath, and then treat the last 4 bars kind of as a coda, okay? Because you'll go, the last 4 bars are really a kind of a recap from it's the same as the beginning of the piece. So treat it as a coda, the first 2 bars, and then the last 2 bars of the piece. You're really going to take your time and slow it down and fade it out at the end. Let me play the last 2 bars for you again, please. Two more fingering tips. In the next to last bar from the end, add your low B key to that D. You're starting to get softer and your D is probably going to get a little sharp. So add this low B key to bring the pitch down on the D. And when you get to the very last note of the piece, the last B flat, use your side B flat. It's going to be less finger noise. You don't want to be switching back and forth to the bass key when you're playing so softly. This side key will cut down on your finger noise. So hopefully that should help you on number 17, and we will move on to our next 3rd etude. Okay, so let's take a look at number 16. Southern Music is recommending a tempo of the quarter note to 120. TMEA is recommending 100 to 112. So let's take it at the top end of that and go with 112. Okay, as far as tips to help you with number 16, I think the main thing on this one is going to be breathing, figuring out where to breathe without interrupting the phrasing that is written. If you can circular breathe, obviously that's going to be the best answer here. But there's really only two rests in this whole etude, so you're going to have to split up some phrases to get some breaths in. I would suggest breathing at the end of the second line. That's an obvious place because you've got an eighth note rest. Breathing at the end of the fourth line. Again, very obvious phrase there. But then after that, you've got 4 straight lines of music, so you've got to figure out what you're going to do about breathing. I would suggest in the next place to breathe would be, you start a new phrase on line 5. So I would go all the way to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th line. The last bar, the B on the downbeat of the last bar, I would breathe right there. So it would leave you with breathe, and then you can go to the end from there. A couple fingerings that might help you out on this one. Second line, first bar, the A sharp above the staff in the second beat. Make that a bis fingering, okay? Jumping down to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th line, when you have at the beginning the first 2 bars, keep your A sharp key down. So you're just going to trill like this to get to the B. There's no need to lift the A sharp. You're going to do the same thing on that next bar. In the same line there, 3rd bar, the end of the bar, give yourself a courtesy accidental on the G sharp. That's an easy note to miss. You might want to play G natural, but that's a G sharp. Last bar of that line, on the 3rd beat, play the A sharp as a bist key. And then on your next to last line, 3rd bar, make sure that you've got it's C sharp, B, A sharp, G natural. And then on the very last note, put a nice robust vibrato on the last note. Really actually the last 2 notes. So you have okay, and then you end it with a nice good resolution on the end.